So today we're going to look at playing Alegrias in a couple of other keys because this is something that happens in real life. In general, I would say that if you're going to do a full Alegria for dance, more often than not, you're going to do it in E major simply because most people, and this is true really at most levels of flamenco, this is not just a beginner thing, most people have all the sections best in this key. So you might have a couple of silencios and a lot of escobilla material and all that other stuff in this key, but not as much in the other keys. Perfectly possible to do an entire alegria in any key, of course, or in any bunch of voicings is really what I should say. So I'm using the word key to mean, if we were in open position, this is A and this is C, but, if the capo's up here, obviously, this is G sharp and this is C sharp. And so, we're really just talking about groups of voicings and shapes to play. Because we are in major key territory and everything makes sense when we talk about it in terms of music theory, I'm also going to get a little bit into music theory here and just talk about how to transpose from one key to another in ways that'll make your life easier as you start playing in new keys, assuming that this language sort of makes sense to you. But if not, I'm still going to give you a sense of how to get around the keys of A and C for Alegrias. So to start, let's look at what we're trying to transpose into other keys. The most important parts of an alegria, obviously the basic compás is the 1 chord, the 5 chord, and the 1 chord again, and then the 4 chord for the llamada. And these numbers I'm using the 1 chord if I'm in an E major scale. E is the first note, so that's why we call that the 1 chord. The 4 chord is the 4th degree. 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives us A. And the 5 chord is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives me B. Right? And then the other very important thing when you're accompanying the cante is the 2 chord, because we do a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So the 2 chord is the 2nd degree of the scale. It's a minor 7 chord. And then we also want the chord that precedes it, which is the dominant. Right? In this case, we're looking at C sharp 7, resolving to F sharp minor 7. Right? We very commonly use this voicing. And this voicing confuses people for reasons I don't quite understand. It's really this chord, barred. You can also think of it as this chord, right? That's a common dominant, barred, and then you put the 5th on the bottom. So these are the chords we're going to look at in all the keys so that you can accompany a singer singing in any of these 3 keys, E, A, and C, which are by far the most common. Let's start with the key of A. Our 1 chord is going to be A. Our 5 chord is going to be E7. Right? And our 4 chord is going to be D. So our llamada gets us here. For the cante, when we need that 2 chord, in the key of A, it's a B minor 7. And the chord that precedes it, the dominant, is F sharp 7. And that takes us to the 5 chord, back to the 1. So the letra would be right. The other thing that happens is at the end of the letra, very often we'll go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord, and on the way we do something that in jazz theory we call 5 of 4 because it's the dominant of the 4 chord. So the 1 chord, which is usually a major triad or a major 7th chord, becomes a dominant for a minute, and that takes us to the 4 chord, and then we do our llamada. Right? So basically everything you would need would be here. Right? So 1, 5 of 2 goes to 2, goes to the 5 chord, which is E7. Now, this A turns into a 7. 4 chord, and then from here we can do our llamada. So some little things in this key that make it a little more interesting. When you get to the llamada, that's a very common thing to do in this key. And then, right, so just to make the llamada more interesting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10. All I'm doing is on the 4 chord, take everything back to the A, and then before I play the E, I play F, E, resolve to A, and we'll do that also in the key of C. And while we're here, if you were in the key and you wanted to play that variation, you could do. Right, that's the 4 chord to the 1 chord to this chord, which it's sub 5 of 5. Right, but really it's just a half step above the dominant. You do that. So in the key of A, we would be doing. For the Escobilla, there's a nice Sabicas thing that I stole from one of his solos, which is just. So I did 2 little embellishments here. On the 1 chord, I added this note. Right when we're por medio, we had to be flat. When we're in A major, we're going to add B natural. And then on the E, I did. So that's the E7 with the D flat, the B to resolve. So one last little thing that I do in my Alegrias, which is in this key, is I'll play, basically if you harmonize the scale, you get A major, B minor, C sharp minor, D major 7. Right, so I have a little thing that I do, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 12, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10. This is not quite diatonic to the key that we're in, but it sounds good. So that's 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 12, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I could also just go straight to the E. And that should get you around the key of A to get started. So now let's take a look at the key of C. I've heard people call this the key of cantiña as opposed to alegrías. And that may be because Paco has a recording of a cantiña that he plays in this key. And my suspicion is that that's why people say, oh, that's the cantiña key. The difference between alegrías and cantiñas, cantiña is the family, so alegría is a member of the cantiña family. But the real difference between an alegrías and a cantiñas is what the singer sings, not what the guitarist plays, and certainly not what group of voicings we use to accompany it. So it's a subtle difference in the cante, which I'm going to show you in the key of E while we're here. Just to sort of clear up this distinction, because you will hear people say play it in the key of cantiñas. If someone says that, this is what they mean. So you don't have to argue with them and say that you know better than they do. You'd know that this is what they mean if they say that, but it's nice to understand, I think, that these distinctions really come more from the cante. And the most basic way of looking at it is if we take a regular alegrías letra, we're here, and then we go da 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 da, right? If you've looked at the Alegría survival guide, we talk about the letra there, that we usually go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10. In the cantina, you sort of stay here a little more. So you might go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Subtle difference, right? It's not that big a deal, but you do have to keep your ear open, because if someone sings a letra of cantina instead of alegrías, and you're just automatically going to where you're used to accompanying an alegría, you're not going to be in the right place. So always listen, always be a little behind the singer. All right, so back to our key of C. Right, so our 1 chord in the key of C is going to be C. Our 5 chord, our dominant, is G. So that's the bulk of what we're playing is. Our 4 chord, which we need for the llamada, is F. For the accompaniment, we need the 2 chord, right? So in the key of C, the 2 chord is going to be D minor. And the dominant of D minor is A7. So those are really the chords we would need for a letra. Da, 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 and then ba da 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 da. Or you could play da 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 da. You can play the A7 here and the D minor here. Or you can put this F there and make it a D minor with a 9. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Right, and then at the end, remember we talked about the 5 of 4. When you're going to go to the 4 chord, but that 1 chord becomes a dominant, the C turns into a C7 by adding the B flat, and that takes you to F. Right, and then da 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 da. So let's look at a few fun things to do in this key. There's a moraito intro that basically starts here. Watered this down a little. We'll look at the more complete version, but this is really just C, adding the G, getting to the G chord, right? So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9, and 10, 11, 12, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9, and 10, 11, 12. Make it a C7, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9, and 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we embellish it a little more, we could do. Right, so all I'm really doing is playing with the top notes. Now the F on top. Switch to the C7. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and 9, and 10, 11, 12. And then here, instead of the llamada, it's very common in this key to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a lot of variations of that idea, the one we're doing. That's another little variation. And then this, another little tick I picked up somewhere in the way. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The escobilla in this key is sort of distinctive. And then here, again. So that's a basic version of the escobilla, and a more common one would be.